Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 23rd SF Doc Fest. We're so excited to welcome our amazing filmmakers today from our Art and Movement program. I'm Sarah Flores. I program the shorts here at SF Doc Fest. A huge thank you to our audience for tuning in. I would love to kick things off by welcoming our filmmakers. If you could please let us know your name, what you did on your film, and kind of what the genesis of the project was for you. How did you become involved and what made you want to tell this story? And Melissa, I'll go ahead and start off with you. Welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Melissa Young, and I'm up here on Whidbey Island talking to you today. I was really disturbed by the inequality that we're seeing in our economy. And a number of years ago, produced a film called Shift Change, which was on PBS, looking at how worker-owned and run businesses, cooperatives, can actually help address that. People can self-organize, people can be very conscious of their community, and they can participate democratically in helping run business rather than the kind of top-down kind of thing that our mainstream economy does. And so that was back in 2012. And in the course of showing that film around the country and other places, why I ran into these folks at Co-op Cincy in the city of Cincinnati that are really trying to build a very strong network of such businesses to help create a more equitable local economy. And I was just very impressed with their spirit, with the great diversity of types of work involved, with the leadership, which is primarily women and people of color, immigrants, people often left out of the mainstream economy. And to me, it was like, okay, this is hopeful and something that perhaps people might adapt someplace else. I produced the film, co-directed, and of course did all the interviewing for the film. My partner, March Workin, did the photography and editing. So
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Melissa. Hi, Daria. Welcome. Please introduce yourself. Let us know your film and how you became involved with it.
So my name is Daria Haurik. I work in the company which cooperates, so the producer, the Felix Prosberg that listed as a producer of the film, he is himself as well a professional breakdancer, actually. And he has a vast network of connections in that field. And recently breakdance became also the Olympic sport. So we knew a lot of people from this this network. There are constantly some competitions happening, and we've been filming the competitions and just building the personal connections with these people and exchanging the stories. And some of the stories we found very emotional, very moving, and we decided that this is a good material for the film, because there's two stories of two dancers that we picked. We find that it reflects the issues of the time that we're living in, because one guy is from Ukraine. He was actually one of the main characters. He had to flee Crimea several times because of the occupation that happened in 2014. Then he came back again. Then he realized that he cannot stay there anymore. So he had to leave when the full military operation there started. So another person is a dancer from Algeria, and he's not really able to walk without crutches, but he nevertheless pursued his career in dancing and is professional dancer nowadays, and lives practically from dancing, lives legally in Paris for already more than 5 years, and earns his money by dancing in the streets. So they're both immigrants, they're both facing quite similar challenges in a way, but yet their stories, and they as personalities are very different. So this community is actually full of this kind of drastic stories. So we maybe hope that it might be one of the first episodes of the series in a way, yeah. But let's see how it's gonna be. So I was doing the editing on the film, and also assisting with the second camera.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you.
Melissa, I would love to hone in a little bit about, first off, I love both of these films. I think they're really special, and they highlight different means of mobility, if that kind of makes sense, right? Melissa, for you, forward mobility through the means of collective reimagining of what capitalism can be. Daria, for you, obviously, mobility just through the ability to use your body to dance, despite if you have different abilities. Mobility through dance, allowing folks who are going through moments of diaspora because of lacks of resources or, war, being able to find their sense of community and financial prosperity. So Melissa, I would love to really hone in with you on your approach to telling the story, because I think what happens really beautifully in this film is this dynamic way that you see these very different feeling businesses all interweave into the same structure that stands outside of what we traditionally think of through capitalism. I'm sorry if that's a confusingly worded question, but hopefully you understand what I'm asking.
So what was really interesting to me, as I mentioned briefly before, is just the diversity of the businesses. So there's a business where people are producing clothing with what you might call Black Lives Matter or, African Pride logos and so on. And it's a terrific business. There's people doing childcare. There are people who were immigrants from Latin America who are working on trying to make homes more sustainable and energy efficient. And so there's a farm and a food distribution business. And through the course of the film, we get to hear from people, some of the people who compare their previous workplaces to the difference now working in this kind of setting. But what seems really strong to me is the way that these cooperatives are networked, that they're all a part of a structure that helps train co-ops, helps sustain them, and then they help, they support one another. Rather than, we all probably have been familiar with co-ops of different sorts, but sometimes they're just one-off kind of situations. And in this situation, and the other thing is the leadership has been working on this for over 10 years. They were inspired by this terrific network of cooperatives in Mondragon in the Basque Country of Spain, which a place we filmed for the previous film Shift Change, that was able to really build a wonderful economy after a very a devastating war and in that region. And so they're really inspired by what they were able to do there. And And as what I can tell is they're just working and working and working to try and make something like that happen here. So, you know, it was great talking to all the individuals in their workplaces. So you get a little taste of what it's like. And then I was very impressed with the leadership and the ways that people are really trying to integrate this network and really make a difference. And they consulted with the community broadly before they even began. They talked to all the churches, the unions, you know, other kinds of entities, social justice groups, and before they even began building this network, in terms of what was needed and, you know, where to start. And I think that that's also been good because it means that they have broader community support for this endeavor. So, and they've spawned, I mean, there's now a co-op Dayton, 50 miles away. And there are other cooperatives and so on in Ohio, Cincinnati's in Ohio. So they're showing one
So special.
possibility, right? A possibility.
Exactly. It's almost through your film, you can see a roadmap for how this is applicable to many different communities. That's like in addressing the intersectional challenges, especially that like more dispossessed areas tend to experience, right? Like through low income areas that have food deserts, or through the need of collectivization of health or childcare. You can kind of show this roadmap in a way like your film could be used as an example to other communities that want to build something like this. And so that's why I think it's so special and impactful.
Yeah, well, that's what
Thank you, Melissa. Toria, I would love to hone in a little bit more about how you and your team were able to identify the subjects that you ended up following throughout the story. Were there other dancers that you were also profiling? What made the decision to focus on Ruslan and Yusuf specifically?
Ruslan, yes. Yeah, we actually were considering to have it like a full feature length and involve more of the dancers, but then we saw that that the both stories are so rich and so connected in a way that we decided to give those two people more screen time, because there was a feeling as well that if we would have spent more time with them, unfortunately there was also a financial aspect to it, because for example Yusuf, he's actually like living in Paris, and he's not able to travel so often. We are located in Germany, and because he's living in Paris illegally, he cannot really travel between the countries. There is always the danger that if he's gonna be identified, they will send him back to Algeria, where it's practically there is no infrastructure for disabled people like him. He will not be able to enjoy being that part of the dancing community. And that's what he's saying in the film. Like, yes, in a way it is more opportunities for him, but like on the other hand, he's locked up in the country because he cannot travel. He cannot go back to revisit his family. He cannot use the public healthcare but he actually needs to get some operation, but he's not able to afford it. Yeah, so in both stories there is the search for home outside of the place where they felt that they like it was to the big extent not really their choice to be where they are, unfortunately. And you can see that when the time is passing, they both I know Ruslan personally because he now moved to Leipzig to Germany, so we actually see each other here pretty often. And this topic is very I take it very personally because I'm actually from Belarus, so our contexts are very of our bringing are very similar, so we share a lot of cultural background as well. Yeah, so it is complicated to be an immigrant, to be a person with without your bubble that you grew up with, that you built up for many years of life, and then in a new place you kind of have to create this for yourself from the scratch. But on the other side, like Ruslan, he's still hoping that he's gonna be back to Ukraine, because in his case the story goes for generations actually, because his family belongs to the ethnic minority of Crimean Tatars who were evicted by Stalin just within several days right after the Second World War. They were just deported from Crimea, and only like his grandmothers and grandpas and only his parents in the 80s managed to come back to Crimea. So now they don't want to leave it. Now they decided that no matter what, they're gonna stay. And yeah, so the family right now is separated, unfortunately. Yeah, and he's still hoping that one day he will be able to go back. Yeah.
It's beautifully spoken. Thank you so much, Daria, for shedding light. I just think one of the things that really struck me when I saw this film was the way that breakdancing is used to describe a way in to folks kind of finding their sense of belonging despite the fact that the places that they had grown up in weren't hospitable for them at this time, or through ADA like access for those with disabilities through Algeria, or through
Crimea.
the horrific scenes that we're seeing come out of that region right now. So it's a really special way to access these stories, and I also got to learn more about the breakdancing community. So it was really exciting and beautiful to share. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Listen, Daria, that's all the time that we have for our Q&A today. But I feel so lucky to get to show your films. And so thank you so much for joining us today to speak to them. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. And we can't wait to see what stories come next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.